Now, Mark, you have your own personal story of how you got involved with. Can you tell us why you got involved with this?
Sure. So I was working as a staffer for the California State Assembly, and there was a 14-year-old named Jordan Peisner in our district, and he was attacked while he was with some friends at a fast food restaurant after school on a Friday. He was attacked by another teen that he didn't know. Teen walked up behind him, punched him in the head as hard as he could, while the attacker's associates filmed the attack and then later uploaded it to social media where it went viral. And so this video went viral so quickly it actually reached my email inbox within about an hour or two of its happening. I later connected with Jordan's father, Ed Peisner, and he was really resolved to ensure that this horrific ordeal that the Peisners went through did not impact another family, did not happen to another family. I should say Jordan suffered some very serious injuries as a result of that attack, and so Ed was very resolved to make some positive change here. And so we drafted legislation in California that came to be known as Jordan's Law, and it is first in the nation legislation to deter what we now call social media motivated violence, or attacks committed for the purpose of filming them,
and posting on social media.
Yeah, exactly. Posting on social media to get those likes, those shares, those views, or what our teens now call clout on social media. And we found in my office that starting around 2006, so the birth of social media as we know it today, incidences of social media motivated violence were doubling every year up until that point. This was in 2016, where we could find thousands of these attacks all over the country. There were websites just dedicated to hosting these types of videos as well. So it had become a massive problem quietly, but in very much plain sight. If you fast forward to today as well, we find about 80+% of fifth graders are seeing these types of explicit violence videos on a regular basis. So this is a huge issue. So we drafted Jordan's Law. We passed that in California in less than a year. Jordan's Law makes clear that anyone who conspires with an attacker to film a violent attack is held liable as an accomplice and subject to an enhanced or longer sentence. And we did that really to serve as a teaching tool to the students we work with across the country. Once they understand there's a name for this social media related harm, it really serves as a good deterrent to stop this behavior and instill in the students we work with the habit of thinking about what they're posting and what they're looking at on social media.
You guys have been working on getting the cell phones banned, and you've been working on the social media. How has it been so far? Is there a challenge for schools to figure this out?
I think it's a very important question. We actually, when we look at this, and we're conducting research on this as well, we actually have three buckets. We have schools that allow phone use. We have schools that have banned essentially phone use during the school day, but do not really enforce it, and schools that have banned and enforced it. So there are a lot of schools across the country that have a written policy about not allowing use either in class or on campus at all, and it's really difficult to enforce that piecemeal. So we'll talk to some teachers on campus, and teachers feel like, well, since no one else is enforcing it, it becomes really challenging for me as a staff member to ask children to put this, what is essentially an addictive device, away when no one else in the community is enforcing it. So there's a real disparity there. But our main point here is it needs to be everyone involved, that a student can't go to one class and have the ability to pull out their phone and then go to another and expect a prohibition to be effectively enforced. It puts the single teacher in a very challenging situation.
Now, how about parents? Are they supporting you guys?
There's been a significant sea change in the percentage of parents supporting, critically looking at these policies and supporting prohibition of smartphones on campus, because they're getting more acquainted with what the research is actually saying. When we do this work with districts or with individual school sites, we're able to actually bring our full experience to bear, our work directly with the students on that campus. And what we can do is we can show the parents statistics on what's actually happening on their campus. So when parents see that their own students are averaging about 5 hours a day plus on social media, when they can see about half of their students are self-reporting being cyberbullied, when they can see a number of other harms actively happening, that basically takes support near the 100% mark for students, for parents who want to make a change, intervene, and provide protection from what is active, ongoing harm. And we find that's really key to get adoption. Now, across the country, there's a percentage of parents that are very concerned about the ability to access their children. We certainly acknowledge that there are different types of family situations or health situations that might require ongoing access between a child and the parent. We would say in those cases that the child does not necessarily need a smartphone. There are safe teen and tween phones where you can call a set number of contacts on the phone that does not give you, as the child, access to the wider internet or social media, which should directly address those concerns among parents.
Now, Marc, as you've been doing this work, have you come in touch with some stories that kind of stood out to you?
Absolutely. So we work with families that have suffered the most horrific of tragedies, and I'll get into some of those examples. But it's not just the tragedies, the worst case scenarios. Parents need to realize that it's a full spectrum of harm. So from the tragedies to dealing with the families where suddenly grades are slipping with the teen student, and we go work with the family and look, and that child is using 8, 9, 10 hours a day of social media use. They're going to 3 or 4 in the morning on their device with social media, which is cutting into sleep, impacting health and their ability to focus in school. We are dealing with families with children that have eating disorders and continue to get content on their phones glorifying eating disorders and dieting and the so-called thin lifestyle. Families that are suffering ongoing harassment and cyberbullying with their children. So there are really a full range of harms here. The worst case scenarios are really heartbreaking, and they're happening across the country. We work with the Bronstein family based in Chicago. Their 15-year-old son, Nate, was cyberbullied over social media until the point that he tragically died by suicide. We work with the Berkman Chapman family out here in Los Angeles. So their son, Sammy, 16-year-old, was bored one day, connected with a drug dealer over the social media platform Snapchat. Drug dealer delivered drugs to Sammy while his parents were at home sleeping, just like ordering a pizza. And tragically, those drugs were poisoned with fentanyl, which Sammy ingested and died by overdose. And those cases are happening all over the state, all over the country as well. And so there's thousands and thousands of these families that have suffered really tragic results because of social media use. We are really, I think, humbled and privileged to work with them to create some change here, both in the state and across the country, these impacted families.
Now, Marc, some people are banning phones in the schools, but the kids will have these smartphones at home. How's that gonna make an impact? They're gonna do the same thing at home.
Excellent question. So just at the base minimum level in terms of impact here, for the schools that are currently allowing phone use, that is hours a day that are adding to children's time on social media. And in theory, it is that amount of time that is exacerbating, making worse the negative outcomes. So just by cutting down that use during the school day, we should see a significant protective effect. It is true that for some of the other harms, when children go home, that they're still at risk. But I would emphasize at the base level, taking out 3 to 5 hours a day of phone and social media use alone through a school-based policy is going to be very protective. For those that are using phones actually during instruction time, during class time, that's going to make a big difference for educational achievement and learning as well. The research that the Surgeon General highlighted in his May 2023 advisory also showed a significant correlation between time of use and adverse mental health outcomes.